before I get to Inusah Fuseini, everybody must be on social security.
Yes,
everybody must be on single spine. Will it work? Will the elite who will control this process allow for such a thing to be done?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I think that basically I share in the views of Oliver, except that our experiences as a country do not seem to support the call for a new constitution. Our constitutions have been tied to events. And this one is coming out from a movement of the people, particularly the youth, looking at how to bring a constitution that reflects their aspirations and that meets their expectations. So that is the challenge. Because apart from the first constitution, there was the order in council.
Yeah.
When we became a republic, we needed a republican constitution. Okay? Then when we became independent, the 1960 constitution, and that was a republic, actually. We had the first republican constitution. When that republican constitution was overthrown, we went to a second republic. So there was no constitution. So we went to a second republic. Okay? And then a third republic. And now a fourth republic. But what he's advocating is not a republican event. It's not, the cutting of a rupture. Okay? He's saying that it's coming from a collection of the views and aspirations of the people to reflect what they desire.
And nothing stops that.
And nothing stops that. It has happened elsewhere. Elsewhere, the parliament has been converted into a constituent assembly to do that. It has happened somewhere. But that's why he said it's a limited constitution, a small constituency that seems to be supporting that. Because you need to understand that parliament can do that. We can constitute parliament to do that. But whether that parliament, changing parliament into a constituent assembly to do that will meet their legitimate aspirations. Because they are looking at a broad-based writing of the constitution. But I agree. It goes to show that Ghanaians think and believe that having practiced this constitution for close to 32 years, we need to tweak certain things. The Democracy Hub says, no, don't tweak. It's easier to just rewrite a constitution than tweaking it. Okay? So if you rewrite the constitution, you pass it. And that's a new constitution. Okay, so it's easier than to look at so many appointments, amendments in the constitution.
You have 41, CRC at least, suggested 41 entrenched clauses that had to be amended. And the argument is that you can't take all of them, bunch them together and say vote yes or no.
You cannot do that.
You must do one by one. So the argument is that if you want to do this kind of amendment, it will take us 1 million years to finish amending the constitution, which will never happen. And then the non-entrenched clauses, you had identified how many? 56, 57 of them.
Yes. So Parliament can do that, unentrenched. Parliament can do that. And Parliament has done that before. He mentioned 10, which has also far been done. So that one can be done. And the Constitution says that Parliament can do that. Now, how is Parliament going to safeguard its own interests? Because they're going to do that. And that's the issue he's raising. If the bill is introduced into Parliament, will Parliament debate that bill? Because that bill will be coming with an advice from the Council of State to pass it. Will Parliament have the authority to change what the Council of State has approved? Now, there is a school of thought which says that Parliament can do that because that is a bill. Okay? And there's another school of thought which says that no. But that's what the people say should be changed. How can Parliament change the bill to reflect what they want? And so there are many, but the good thing is that we're engaged in the conversation. And now I'm part of those who think that there's a case for a constitutional reform or constitutional review or a new constitution. There's a case for that.
You have been very committed to that.
There's a case to that because now, you see, even look at our history. Constitution 1992 came into being because we're transiting from a military rule to a democratic rule. So about 70% of this our constitution derives from the 1979 constitution. Okay, so they needed a document. Then they added our experience of 1979 in Article 78.1. And that is creating a problem for us. That's creating a problem because everybody goes to Parliament and thinks that you should become a minister. And then the very institution of Parliament that is supposed to protect our rights and also hold government accountable is now in bed with government. So we are not having accountability. We're not having it. And we can only have accountability if institutions of accountability hold those who spend our monies accountable. But because we're not having it, we have a deep sense of entitlement, number one. And number two, we have impunity. So how do we rectify that? That's the unintended consequence of the 1992 Constitution. Number two, you have an electoral commissioner who is appointed solely by the sitting president without recourse to Parliament or to the Public Services Commission. Meanwhile, he's a public servant. And then he faces credibility problems. Okay? How do we rectify that? And then he's given his conditions of service or her conditions of service in the case of our current electoral commission is tied to the Justice of the Court of Appeal. When does she retire? If she's a young person, okay, she goes up to 70. So young, you are staying the whole life as an electoral commissioner. Do we want that? Then you have the seeming conflict between Article 71 and Article 17. Article 17 says that there should not be discrimination. And Article 71 is discriminating among public officers on the basis that some people are more public, than others. So you see, so you have problems. And that's why we need to look at it. Then you have the asset declaration. Now, when you look at the Constitution, the list of persons who have been told to declare their assets appear to be woefully inadequate. Because many people come into public resources, and then the Constitution is silent on them.
Even that people have issues that, for example, President Mahama should ensure that his officers have declared their assets even before they go for the vetting or before he swears them in. The Constitution says you must declare your assets and liabilities before you assume office. Then we went ahead and passed the law that says you have a 6 months grace period to do that. Why?
So you have to look at it. And I'm sure President Mahama is listening.
The Chairman's Committee recommends a 3 months grace period rather than declare before you assume the office.
We should go for declare before you assume office. We should go for that. Because you see, you are looking to put corruption behind you. You're looking for evidence of impropriety that can be traced to the very day a person takes office. Okay? So if you give 3 months, what do you think the person will do within the 3 months? He knows he has a 3 months window. What do you we will spiral to the bottom. So no, and I like the fact that people have drawn President Mahama's attention to the fact that his officers, his appointees must declare their assets before they assume office. And he set out values. He says the values that will define his government are transparency and accountability.
Right.
And this, the declaration of assets, and the chairman of the committee says, no, we should not just declare and put them in envelopes.
Yeah, it should be verified by the Auditor General.
The example of the Senegalese, or is it Senegal or Sierra Leone, who said, look, this is, I have declared.
Publish it.
And publish it. So the one will publish. And then we should extend, because we don't want people hiding their assets in the names of their wives and children. Not so, a publish say. And then we know. And then we want the Auditor General to verify.
That's right.
That's a new amendment, to verify the declaration. Because we don't want people to declare in anticipation of acquisition.
What's your view of this particular committee? And they have just 5 months to present their report. Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh is the chair. Justice Sophia Dinyira is a member. Professor Kwame Karikari is a member. Mrs. Charlotte Osei is a member. Dr. Godwin Jokoto is a member. He teaches law at the University of Ghana. Ibrahim Tanko Amidu is a member. He's with Star Ghana. Dr. Isi Ansan is a member. She teaches as a Shesi. I think she's still there. Dr. Reina Akumpergia is a secretary.
Yes. I think that there's diversity. I think that there's inclusiveness. And I think that is based on good faith. We have got 2 reports already existing, the Constitution Review Committee and the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. The President draws their attention to the existence of those documents and tells them to look at them, look at the gaps, and see what could be done about the gaps, and then come up with actionable steps to see how the Constitution, our 1992 Constitution, have been amended. Can be amended. I'm sure the Democracy Hub will engage them and argue whether we need a new Constitution or, we must look at certain provisions. But I think that like Kusi Prembe said, this is a good faith committee, and it's good also that the president, clearly we can see an intention to amend, that he's named the Constitution so early in the day. Let's give them timelines.
Many have said this is his opportunity of a legacy. The legacy he's seeking, this is an opportunity because he also has to test in Parliament.
And that's not lost on him. That's why he's quickly, even before swearing in his minister, the Attorney General, establishes a committee for that.
Right.
Okay? And then he knows that he has, if it is the amendments in Parliament, he has the numbers to do that. Okay? But he doesn't want it to look like he's fostering his views on the people. So he's gone for people who have challenged his view and his leadership style in the past to see whether we can have buy-in, inclusiveness, okay, and engender legitimacy by what he'll be doing.
Right. And as I mentioned some time ago to you, you would realize that Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh has actually been at this for a long time.
Yes.
The Constitution Review Commission's work, when Gloria Akufu,
yes,
the Attorney General, set up a committee to try and see how they could piecemeal implement some of the things, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh had a role to play there.
He was the person who came up with the, with the
elections of the...
Not the DCE. The DCE was a good one. But he said, look, lumping everything together with one bill on the interim provisions
right,
to overreach the rights of the citizens,
right,
declare their stance on specific provisions.
That's right.
So I know, and he was a constitutional advisor to the former president. I know that.
Okay, and so people are excited about the character of the committee and the diverse nature of the committee